All right, ladies and gentlemen. So today is the day off from the Trump hush money trial. There is no court today. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of what this trial is about and why this trial is a sham and some of the different players involved. Specifically, these two guys right here. You can see them in flames right there on the right side of your screen. This is Judge Juan Merchan and Matthew Colangelo. But first, we'll start off with the charges. So Donald Trump, he is charged with 34 felonies. Wow, sounds very serious, right? Each of these predicated on his having alleged falsified business records. Now, this sounds really, really bad, right? Sounds really fancy. But essentially what has been alleged here is that he miscategorized a payment or payments to his then lawyer, Michael Cohen, as legal expenses when they say it actually was meant to pay for hush money to an adult film actress, Stormy Daniels. You've all seen her. You've all heard of her. Now, this charge of falsifying business records is not always a felony. It's actually a misdemeanor, according to New York Statute 17505. Yes, I did my research here. But it's only a felony under one specific condition. And this is the legal trick that they used in order to upgrade it to a felony from a misdemeanor. Now, the New York Statute Penal Law 17510, and let me get these individuals out of here so you can see what I'm talking about right here. Yes, I did a Google search on this, and you can do a Google search on this as well. But the Penal Law 17510 reads that if the intent to defraud includes an intent to commit another crime or to aid or conceal the commission thereof, it can be charged as one. So they can upgrade this misdemeanor to a felony. So you may be asking, what is this other crime that they are alleging that Donald Trump did in order for them to upgrade this from a misdemeanor to a felony? And the other question, why would they want to do that in the first place? I will answer both of these questions. First, what is the other crime? It actually isn't articulated in the criminal indictment. The district attorney, Alvin Bragg, was actually pretty vague when the indictment was handed down, saying that the intent was to, quote, conceal crimes that hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. Yes, we are going all the way back to 2016. Very interesting. Then, in the opening arguments, Matthew Colangelo, he's a former Obama and Biden DOJ attorney, finally revealed this elusive other crime. And guess what it is? Attempting to influence the 2016 election. Look right here. This is a quote from the opening arguments. Matthew Colangelo said, "This case is about a criminal conspiracy and a cover-up." He accused Trump of orchestrating a criminal scheme to corrupt the 2016 presidential election and lying over and over and over again, wow, 3 overs, to cover up the payments. There's no statute referenced. There's only this vague notion that Trump committed a criminal act when managing PR for his campaign. This is not a crime. This is literally what every politician in the history of politicians have done since politicians have become a thing. Every single politician does this. It is not illegal to pay to prevent negative stories from coming out about you. This is absolute trash, and it is a fabricated charge that they concocted for one sole purpose. So this brings us to the reason why they needed it to be upgraded to a felony. Now, the reason why is because this, quote, crime that they alleged happened 8 years ago. So this means that according to NewYorkCourts.gov and the statute making it a misdemeanor, this means that it is outside of the statute of limitations. Now, this is NewYorkCourts.gov. Misdemeanors carry with them a statute of limitation of 2 years. So if you do the math, 8 minus 2, so they are 6 years away from when they could have actually brought this charge. So they couldn't bring this charge of falsifying business documents because it is outside of the statute of limitations. So they had to find some way to upgrade it to a felony, allowing them an avenue to get around this inconvenient obstacle. And that's where we are. This is why Donald Trump comes out every morning and calls this election interference. Because it is. It's actually pretty terrifying that we have a rogue government going after a private citizen who is attempting to run for president of the United States. They use these legal tactics and the justice system. They leverage lies and manipulation from the media to tie Donald Trump up in courts and prevent him from campaigning. Because remember, he has to sit for every single day of this trial. What they are alleging happened 8 years ago. And now they are bringing this up in one of the most crucial times in a presidential campaign. And this being a felony, there is a potential he could be imprisoned as well. Congress has already introduced this bill that would strip Secret Service from Donald Trump if he were to be arrested, or if the judge orders him to go to jail for violating the gag order that he imposed on Trump. Now let's talk about Matthew Colangelo. He is actually the one running the show in this trial. You may hear DA Alvin Bragg brought these charges, but he's simply a figurehead, just like Letitia James was in the fraud case against Donald Trump. Neither of them really do anything related to these charges against Trump, other than allowing the power of their offices to act as a host to parasitic prosecutors from the Biden Department of Justice. Here is a Reuters article that talks about Matthew Colangelo, this senior prosecutor that Alvin Bragg hired. It says Manhattan District Attorney hires senior lawyer who has probed Trump. Let's look down. It says the Manhattan District Attorney has hired a former senior U.S. Department of Justice official who has investigated Donald Trump and who may be called again to investigate the former U.S. president's activities. Matthew Colangelo will serve as senior counsel to the District Attorney Alvin Bragg, following 2 years helping oversee the Justice Department's antitrust, civil rights, environmental, and tax division, as well as some hate crimes. He has previously helped oversee New York Attorney General Letitia James's investigation into Trump's charity, the Trump Foundation, which evolved into the civil probe into the finances of Trump and his company, the Trump Organization. Okay, all very interesting stuff. Now let's go to the justice.gov. Who is this Matthew Colangelo guy? Look at this. Matthew Colangelo became acting associate attorney general on January the 20th of 2021. So this means he served in the Biden administration. Then if you look down here, he also served in the Obama administration as a deputy assistant to President Obama and deputy director of the National Economic Council. So he also served in the Obama administration. So you have this senior prosecutor who worked for the Obama DOJ and the Biden DOJ, overseeing this case and using District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office in order to do so. Now let's talk about this judge, Judge Juan Merchan, this conflicted judge, as Donald Trump calls him. Now, why would he say that? Well, judges in trials, of course, are supposed to be impartial and rule on matters only of law. Other than the jury, they are arguably the most consequential facet of a trial because they make all the decisions as to whether or not information is admitted into evidence, subpoenas and motions are approved, and what type of arguments are allowed to be presented before a jury. So this is why it is immensely important for a judge to be entirely impartial in a trial, because he could severely stack the odds for or against a defendant by using the power that is given to him by occupying his position. Now, the reason why Donald Trump calls him a conflicted judge is because he has some obvious conflicts of interest. Conflicts, conflicted, yes. And it's not something that is as vague as he's just a New York judge or a Democrat who might dislike Trump. No, it's actually a lot more obvious than that. The most obvious example probably is his own daughter, Lauren Merchan. Now, Lauren Merchan is the president, and this is according to a New York Post article, the president of this company called Authentic Campaigns. And it's a Chicago-based progressive political consulting firm whose top clients include Representative Adam Schiff, who was the lead prosecutor in Trump's first impeachment trial. And this company, Authentic Campaigns, what it does, it's a consulting firm that puts out advertisements for Democrats, basically, liberal, progressive candidates. And if you look here, if I scroll down, here's an example of some of the advertisements that it puts out there. And notice she references specifically her dad's trial in order to raise money for her company. She's raised almost $100 million using these tactics. Look at this. This is one of the examples of the ads that she puts out there. Breaking news. Top Manhattan District Attorney's Office has indicted Donald Trump for criminal offenses, the first ever indictment of a former American president. So this is what Donald Trump means when he calls this judge conflicted, because he has an obvious conflict of interest where his own daughter is raising money off of this trial. And it's not just his daughter, but his wife as well used to work for Letitia James, as well as Matthew Colangelo. So you have all of these people working for the district attorney's office, working with Letitia James. And this is the person who is supposedly supposed to be this impartial judge in this trial. And this is the person who gags Donald Trump in this trial, doesn't allow him to speak about any of the prosecutors, the judge, and that imposes fines every time that he even comes close to mentioning this trial or anyone involved or what's going on in this trial. This is the guy who threatens to throw Donald Trump in jail if he doesn't attend every single day of this sham trial. This is why this trial is such an outrage. It is clearly a politically motivated attack on Donald Trump. And it shows you how big our government has gotten and how disgusting and evil they have gotten by going after, like I said before, a private citizen trying to run for president. He is the Republican nominee. And they're trying to hinder him in every single way imaginable, including conjuring up a way to upgrade a misdemeanor to a felony so that they can get around the statute of limitations. That is what's happening in this trial, guys. And that is why I'm very interested and I'm covering this trial, because most people don't realize what is even happening here. They only see what they see on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, all these media outlets that don't even go after the core parts of this trial and that really make it fall apart. All they really report on is like, oh, Colangelo said this. Oh, the judge said that, the defense is losing credibility. Oh, Donald Trump, he falsified business records. But where are you going to see in MSNBC, CNN, that this is actually a misdemeanor? And they couldn't find a way around it, so they had to come up with this legal jiu-jitsu where they can upgrade it to a felony by saying, well, he committed fraud and he's trying to defraud the American people by trying to pay off someone who had some negative information that they were going to come out with. And, in some weird way, and this is just PR at the end of the day, in some weird way, that is a crime, according to them, they are alleging. This is insanity, guys. But let me know what you think about this down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And by the way, I am covering every single day of this trial through Inner City Press. He writes everything that happens, a transcript of whatever happens in the courtroom. So I will be covering this. And if you want to see more of this, subscribe and turn on the notifications. But until then, I will see you on the next one.